know about you all, but when I see the average book influencer online, I can sometimes feel a little discouraged because, of course, reading is their job, so they are paid to read books, and that means that they have a lot of time to read an incredible amount of content. Meanwhile, I feel like it is somewhat challenging for me to get to 1 to 2 books a week, and because of that, I really just wanted to spend some time walking you through an average week of my life and what I realistically can read in a single week. But before we get to that, I want to talk a bit about the books I'm going to be reading, or at least start with in this vlog, depending on how many I get through. So, the first book I'm reading is The Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. This is Mistborn Era 2, Book 2. So, if you're unfamiliar with the Mistborn series, Mistborn Era 1 is the original trilogy, and it follows these characters who essentially want to start a revolution due to the continual mistreatment of the working class. And in terms of the fantasy element, there are essentially these metals that certain people can ingest, and then when they burn it inside their body, they are able to do specific effects. So, for example, there are metals that allow them to enhance their senses. There are metals that allow them to heal quickly. There are metals that allow them to quicken time or slow time. And in Era 1, we follow this revolution through 3 books, including in the finale. In Era 2, we're following 300 years later, where the events of Trilogy 1 are considered almost like myth and legend. A lot of the characters are like these mythical heroes or almost on a godlike status, and we're in a quite more modern society. In the first one, I think you would think like traditional fantasy, like medieval, not a lot of technology, everything is what we picture when you picture like a D&D campaign type fantasy in terms of environment. But in the second trilogy, there are things like electricity and motor cars, and most importantly, guns. The Era 2 of Mistborn is meant to be more of a Western style, and it follows the 2 main characters, Wax and Wayne. Wax is essentially a nobleman who decided he wanted to take lawmaking into his own hands, and he spent a lot of time in the roughs, which is what is considered this kind of no man's land outside the city, and it has only recently returned to the city, but now a lot of things are happening within the city that he has to confront. Wayne is his best friend, who's kind of like a master disguise man and very interesting in his own right, very fun and very silly. And I'm on book 2 of Mistborn Era 2, and I have just been devouring them. I finished the Mistborn Era 1 or Era 2 book 1 book in probably 2 or 3 days, which lately has been very atypical for me. I was in a huge reading slump at the beginning of the year, so to be devouring a book like that feels really good. And I'm already halfway through Mistborn Era 2 Book 2, Shadows of Self, and I started it last night. So I'm really looking forward to reading some more of that and hopefully maybe even finishing it in this vlog because I really am enjoying this series so far. And then on audiobook, I'm listening to Dust, which is the conclusion of the Silo series. The Silo series essentially is the premise of what if humans lived in a silo that's underground that protects them from the real world. Essentially, the concept is that the air is unsafe, and these silos are meant to protect humans from whatever it is that makes the air unsafe. And in this series, you get to kind of uncover the origins of that, what all happened, and now we're kind of concluding with where they're going to go next because there's a lot of discontent in the silos. And I'm really enjoying that one as well, but I was away from this series for a little bit. I read books 1 and 2 in probably July 2025, so it's giving me a little bit of difficulty in the sense of I don't remember everything that happened and all these characters, and it does kind of throw you right in. But I just need to maybe do a refresh and reread at least the synopsis and summary of books 1 and 2 maybe. But I do think it's still really good, and I'm looking forward to reading that. As for today, it is Sunday, April 12th, and I have an incredibly busy week ahead of me. Today, I'm going to a baby shower for my cousin, so I'm actually really looking forward to a fun day today. But this week I'm actually going to be traveling for work because we are hosting a conference, which feels insane. It's a special challenge to get in my reading this week, which is why I wanted to bring you all with me. So we're gonna have to go ahead and get some reading in when we can. But before I read today, let's go make coffee. Robot wants to say hello, but I'm actually here to give a bit of an update on how much I was able to read today. It is Sunday evening, and I was able to read a bit of both of the books that I'm reading. So I think I read probably roughly 75 to 100 pages of the Mistborn Era 2 book, Shadows of Self. That's it. I got it. I am a little tired right now because I just got off the walking pad, but I read about 100 pages of that this morning, and I have, I think, 120 pages remaining. So I'm hoping that I can maybe knock out half of that today. But I was really reflecting on the book while I went through my baby shower and just through the rest of my day's events. And I was thinking about how the last Brandon Sanderson book I read before this was Wind and Truth. And while Wind and Truth is a great book, and don't get me wrong, it is a very serious book. It is a heavy read. It is dense. The Stormlight Archive in general is pretty intense. I would say that you don't get many moments of levity or moments to breathe in that series. So when I was going into the Mistborn Era 2, I felt like I had a sense of nerves because that was what was most fresh in my mind from Brandon Sanderson. And after I read Wind and Truth in 2025, I took a full break from Sanderson books. I haven't read anything from him since January 2025, which feels like a big break from reading any of his content. So going into this, and yes, it is heavy and there's a lot of difficult subject matter in the book, but at the same time, it feels like such a breath of fresh air. There is so many moments of levity. It is very clear with the character of Wayne that he does not take himself too seriously, and I think he's really meant to be a comic relief character in many ways while still confronting the issues of his past and the things he's gone through. So I'm really having a good time with it. I think I'm going to enjoy this entire series, and I'm just really having a great time enjoying a fantasy book again because, like I mentioned earlier, I was in a huge slump. A lot of fantasy wasn't working for me. In fact, at the beginning of the year, I was only reading contemporary. Every single book on my shelf that I had that was not fantasy, I read. So now I've kind of been forced to come back to fantasy, and I wasn't sure if Mistborn Era 2 was the right choice, but I'm really feeling certain now that it is, and that makes me feel really happy. And then in terms of Dust, I read about 2 hours of it through my drive to the baby shower and then while walking on the walking pad, and I'm really enjoying it. I was also thinking about how different it is from Shift and Wool in the sense of both of those books also have multiple POVs, but I feel like this book has us really jumping POV to POV a lot. I felt like in the previous books you would kind of stick with one character for a longer portion of time. It makes a lot of sense because we have a story that's kind of all coming together, but I also find it sometimes difficult because something major might happen in one of our POVs and then suddenly we're in a different perspective. I think I just kind of have to get used to that. I see that a lot in book threes or the ending of a trilogy that they just really jump around a lot because there's a lot of things to wrap up. But I think that that's my only difficulty right now. But I'm actually still really liking it, and it's also pretty short. It's about 10 hours total, so I'm definitely going to finish it, and I think the series itself is such a worthwhile premise, even if I'm not 100% sold on this one yet. Tonight, I'm hoping that I can read a little bit more of the Mistborn book, but I'm probably not going to do too much more audio tonight, maybe a little bit throughout work tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday with another update. Hey, it is Monday. I have so many updates for you, but the first thing is, I don't know if you could tell yesterday, but I got a sunburn at the baby shower yesterday. It was supposed to be cloudy. The event was gonna happen mainly inside, but it ended up being 75 degrees and sunny, and I just couldn't help myself but be outside for it. I did not pack any sunscreen or anything of the sort because I wasn't expecting it. So I did get kind of a sunburn. I also have a little bit on my forehead and nose, but it seems to be healing okay. It's not so painful, but just a reminder to always have sunscreen on you. Now, I also have an update on my reading. I was able to finish Shadows of Self last night. I kind of stayed up and pushed myself because I really wanted to finish it, and I really enjoyed it overall. I don't think I loved it nearly as much as Mistborn Era 2 Book 1, but I thought it was still really enjoyable. In Mistborn Era 2 Book 1, you're following like a murder mystery situation, but I would say it's much more cut and dry, while this one had more of the like political intrigue, the drama, the gossip, all these things that go on in a society. And I thought that that would really appeal to me, but in many ways, I just didn't connect with it in the same way. I think that something you get out of Wax's character is that he's like a nobleman in society, but he's just like rusty and out of shape. And I think because of that, I felt like that. Like, I felt like we were rusty to this world, and I didn't feel as connected as when he's going through like the different parts of his like lawman world. But I still really thought it was fun and enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into book 3 probably tonight. I think this morning I want to spend a little bit of time knitting, and I'm going to listen to Dust while I knit so that I can, develop both of my books. And then I should also be able to listen to some of it during work today because I have some like data entry type work that tends to really be easy for me to like lock into an audiobook. So I'm really looking forward to it. But before I do any of that, I need to make some coffee. And I think that what I might try today is making a peppermint mocha because I was looking into like what they would use at an actual cafe. And I don't have everything, but I do have cocoa powder and I do have peppermint extract. So I'm wondering if that will work as a poor man's imitation of a peppermint mocha. But I'm also going to be drinking my electrolytes here. So I guess I'm going to have multiple drinks. That's okay. I love to, have a fun little beverage. This is the Trevi strawberry kiwi flavor. It's my first time having it. I diluted it pretty hard because I fill my mason jar up all the way. And the Trevi says they expect about 16 ounces of water for the packet. And this is like almost 32 ounces. But I kind of prefer that because I don't want like a really intense juice flavor. I want it to feel like flavored water. So I'm enjoying it, but let's go ahead and make my coffee and get the day going. Seeing myself with this sunburn is humiliating every single time. Hello, it is the evening. I just got off of work and we need to chat because I have so many updates and so many big plans. And by big plans, I mean I'm gonna sit here and read and then make dinner and then have my mint chip ninja creamy. So, big night over here. I wanted to come in and provide an update because I listened to a lot of Dust today. I was able to listen to it while I was able to listen to it while I was knitting. I was able to listen to it some during work, during some like administrative tasks I was working on. and I just feel like I made a lot of progress into the book. And I was kind of looking around online to see if anyone else had similar opinions to how I've been feeling about it. And I'm feeling good because, like, I'm not alone. A lot of people have said that this has kind of, like, been an unsatisfying conclusion to the series, and I would say I feel pretty similarly. I was hoping that things would feel really high action, high intensity, and it does in a way, but then like we jump to these other POVs and it feels like it loses a lot of the momentum. And I've had critiques of that in a lot of multi-POV books where you jump away from the action whenever there's a big moment. And I understand why authors do that. It helps you build suspense, it helps you build anticipation to going back to that major event. But I feel like this book especially is doing that a lot. It's also weird though because our characters don't feel all that different from each other. It doesn't feel like when we leave one character's POV and go to another that it is so different, but it's just like we go from high stakes to low stakes, but it still almost feels like they're the same character, especially with our female characters. We followed two primarily in this book, or at least so far. One being like the mayor of one of these silos, and then the other being someone who was sort of involved with the creation of the silos. And while I find them both to be pretty interesting, I would say especially the creator one feels a little underdeveloped. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but it is really tough to get that investment when the characters are not all that interesting. And I know this is a plot-driven book, but you do still need that like care for the characters, and I think that that's an issue I've been having a lot with fantasy in general. I almost like didn't finish The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is another fantasy book, because I felt no investment in the characters. And I think that sometimes when authors are writing a like very plot focused book, I think the character development goes to like the secondary goal. But I think that I'm learning about myself that I really do want a character-driven story where I feel investment in the characters. And I think that's why Wax and Wayne is working for me. Yes, there is a plot, but at the same time, we get so much development into their character development, especially Wax. I think we're getting a little bit more of what's going on with Wayne and also what's going on with Marasi, I would guess her name is. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm gonna go ahead and read some more of that tonight before I go ahead and make dinner. But before I leave you guys, I also wanted to provide a bit of an update on my knitting project. So if you're ever in Chicago, really recommend Knit One Chicago. It's how I learned how to knit, and they have knitting classes, they have crocheting classes, and I just really enjoy their yarn, their fibers. They do a weekly stitch circle multiple nights a week. They're down in North Center neighborhood, so if you live in the north side, pretty convenient to access, really good company. So I wanted to show you, I'm making a hat. I know it's April, but I've been working on this forever, so I'm going to finish it. It's going to be a gift for my mom for Mother's Day. She owns a coat that's about the same color as this, so I'm working on the ribbing right now, which is like the brim of a hat. And this is actually my second time making this, which is why it is happening in April and not in, winter time. But I originally started making this for my mom's birthday, which is in February. And as I was like cinching it closed, the yarn snapped. I don't really like quite know how to explain, but it snapped in a point where it was unsalvageable. The whole thing kind of came unraveled. I had a mental breakdown. I honestly was talking about never knitting again. So I took a bit of a break, and then I wanted to come back to this, and I told my mom I would give her something that was hand knit by me eventually. So the hat hopefully will get done before Mother's Day. I'm trying to just take it, a few rows at a time, not really pressure myself, because when I made this for my mom before, I made it the week of her birthday. And that made it really high stress because I needed to finish it so quickly. And I think that also kind of like took away from the enjoyment of knitting. And I don't really want to do that to myself. I want to just like relish in the slow hobby and, just enjoy my days, do a couple rows a day, maybe do it while I'm watching TV or doing something else that's like traditionally unproductive. But I'm not going to force myself to just do endless and endless amounts of knitting to where my hand cramps. For the rest of the evening, I'm going to make dinner. I'm making salmon bowls tonight. So I've actually made it a few times, but it's always a really delicious dinner. And then we have mint chip ninja creamy. I've never made this one before, so I'm hoping that it turns out really good, but I'm really looking forward to that because it is like 75 degrees out. It's supposed to thunderstorm, so I'm not gonna like go spend time outside, but it is so warm and it has felt so warm and muggy all day. So ice cream to end the night will be a great treat. But I'll check in with you all tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning. Okay, happy Tuesday. Before we get started with the updates, I do have a little visitor to show you. Hi, Miss Cyborg. Hi. Eat your food. I just put her food out, so that's why she's nearby, but she is anxious because our other cat is kind of looking at her and she doesn't like to be watched while she eats. So now she's just gonna sit behind me and eat while I don't look. So she doesn't feel anxious, but she feels protected from him. This morning, I went and got coffee with my fiance. I'm like basically done with it now, but it was actually a really nice treat because it is pouring rain and the coffee shop was so cozy, and we really don't go out and get coffee on weekday mornings because we go to the gym at 6 a.m. and then we try to leave by 7 a.m. and most of the coffee shops near us open at 7:30, so we normally don't go because we walk to the gym, we walk home, but we drove because it's pouring rain, so I was like, we could drive to one of the little bit further away ones and get coffee. So I'm really enjoying it. Such a lovely treat for a weekday, especially given how busy this week is about to get, because tomorrow I'm sort of traveling for work, and then Thursday my work is running a conference, and it'll just be very, very, very busy. Like full day 9 to 5 of on my feet, running around, running this conference. And I'm not sure how much reading I'm gonna be able to get in tomorrow and Thursday. So it's extra important that I can get in at least some today. I also have to pack today for that, so that'll be fun. But I wanted to provide an update on how much I read last night. But I read about 100 pages of The Bands of Mourning, which is Mistborn Era 2 Book 3. And I'm actually really enjoying it. So far, it's a little tonally different than the first two books. I think that Wax is in kind of a different mental place than we saw him in books 1 and 2. And so that makes the book feel a little different, but I'm already loving it because we're also kind of getting like a change of pace in a certain way. Essentially, the setting that it's set in is changing a little bit. We're going to a different location in this world, and I love that. I think that'll bring kind of like a fresh perspective, fresh environment for our characters to play around in. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping I can read a little bit more today. Maybe this evening, though I do have plans, so it's gonna just be kind of tough to fit in reading today. I should be able to listen to more of Dust while I do a little bit of work, but I also have a lot of meetings, so it's just gonna be a really jam-packed day, and it might be tough to get in a lot of reading, which is why I'm so glad that I was able to get in so much on Sunday and Monday, but I do still want to prioritize it today. I'm gonna go make some breakfast and enjoy my morning before I have to log in. Okay, it is after work right now, and I have a few updates to share. The first being, I actually did get to finish Dust while I was working today. I mainly listened to it in between meetings, and I listened to it on 2x speed, so I only had an hour and a half actually to like listen to it, even though I had 3 hours left in the book. And honestly, I don't really have all that fond of opinions. I was strongly considering DNFing it actually, but I wanted to finish it because at that point I had so little left, and I was like, you know what, I can do an hour and a half more of my life to finish this book. I think that if you're interested in reading the Silo series, I would read Wolf. Just read the first book. I think that it is the strongest story. I think that it is somewhat of a complete story, and I think that you get like the most level of interest in that portion of the story. I think that this was quite an unsatisfying conclusion. And I think that while it ended very cute and I'm liking how everything got like kind of wrapped up at the end, there was a lot of questions still. And I think that if he was gonna end it that way, there could have been more questions answered. So I didn't really enjoy it, but that's okay. I'm gonna start listening to The Friend, which is a book about a girl who basically her friend kills himself, and his wife does not like the dog that he leaves behind. And so basically the wife asks his friend if she can take the dog. It's a Great Dane. She lives in a small New York apartment. And it's really just kind of like meditation on grief and what she's feeling and interacting with this dog, which is like kind of her only thing left of him. And yeah, I actually started it a little bit earlier, and I think it's really good so far. I think the writing style is very interesting. It's also definitely kind of change of pace. It is a contemporary book. I've been reading a lot of fantasy, which is very clear, so it's just kind of nice to read something different. It's also super short. The audiobook is 6 hours long, so I should be able to finish that this week, especially with the drive down for my work tomorrow, and then just like with some additional free time, hopefully I should be able to get it done. But I think it's good so far. And then as for this evening, my fiance and I are actually gonna go to the park and hammock a little bit, so I might read a little bit during that. It is 80 degrees out, so I'm really looking forward to spending some time outside while we can before it gets too dark and there are thunderstorms later tonight. And then my friends and I are actually going to play a video game together this evening, so it should be a busy evening, but still going to fit some reading in. And then tomorrow starts the first day of chaos for this week, or the first day of incredible busyness. So hopefully I can provide an update tomorrow morning, but I'll be sure to get you an update sometime tomorrow of where I'm at and how things are going. Good morning. I don't have a ton to update on because I didn't end up getting to do a ton of reading yesterday. Even though we went and laid in our hammocks and read, I actually fell asleep. It was just so cozy and warm. So I only ended up reading probably like 20-25 pages before my little cat nap. I still had a good time with it. I'm still really enjoying the Bands of Mourning. I think that I'm like 200 pages in total, so there's like 270-ish more to go. And today is the day that I have to travel for work. So tonight I'll be in a hotel room, I'll be chilling by myself, so hopefully we'll be able to get in some good reading time. I honestly am feeling a little stressed this morning. I have a lot going on. I need to go to the office, get all our merchandise for the conference packed up into the van. They're gonna bring it to the conference. I'm gonna go home, get my car, get everything packed up, and go. So it's gonna be a really busy day. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I'm just gonna try to take a breath. And tomorrow will be really, really exciting, and I'm trying to just remember that, this is the culmination of everything I've been working toward in my workplace. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's just going to be so busy, and that can be a little stressful, but I think it'll be a good thing. It's a good thing. And the other good thing is, since I will be commuting down in my car, definitely going to have some good audiobook time today. So hopefully we'll make some progress on the friend as well. But that's it, kind of a short update for now. Hopefully I'll have more to report later. Okay, forgive me for the bad audio. I've just realized that the sun is setting and I need to film this quickly. But today has felt like a week and a half in itself. It has been exhausting through and through. I started the day from loading the U-Haul for our merch in the office. And then after that, we had to stuff the name tags. And you think that that would be easy? No, it actually was far more complicated than I anticipated. So that ended up taking much longer, and I got home way later from the office. And then I had to, of course, come down to the conference center. And by the time I left, it was rush hour. So there was huge traffic, and I finally got here, and I was so exhausted. And my coworkers want to go out for dinner. And I'm sorry, y'all, I pre-gamed the dinner. I got my own dinner. I will go for a drink with you all. I got Chipotle because after that day I needed some Chipotle. But what is the point of this update, you may ask? What is the point? Well, during my very busy day, during my many commute, and during my long traffic that I was stuck in, I finished The Friend. And I will say, I didn't love it. I think that it is a really good concept for a book. So the idea of your mentor passing away and kind of bestowing this dog upon you that you weren't ready for, and kind of dealing with the grief and also dealing with having this pet, is really interesting as a premise to me. However, I think that where it kind of lost its footing is the author kind of meanders. She will tell a lot of different tangential stories to this one, and I think that's meant to be like kind of stream of consciousness of how the main character is feeling, but I just don't think it quite works for me, especially given that it is so short. It is 200 pages, 6-hour audiobook. It almost is like we didn't get enough of the main story because you're so focused on telling like these stories about writing, and it's almost more a book about writing than a book about grief. And I think if I were still writing seriously, like writing fiction, I think that it would have connected with me more in that way. But I still think it's enjoyable, like probably a solid 3 out of 5. I can see how it would really connect with other people. Just didn't quite work for me. I also think that I might have been in like a bad headspace while listening to it, since I was sitting there in traffic and I was like, oh my god, she really has a lot to say, you know? But I thought it was good overall, so I'm not gonna like shame it too harsh. I think that it is just not one for me, but would definitely work for a lot of people. And I think that I tend to be a big fan on like conversations about grief and how to deal with these deep sadnesses, so I thought I would like it more. But I'm also kind of in like a not dog person era, because I'm sorry, dogs in Chicago are kind of wild. So maybe that was also a reason I didn't connect with it. When I originally bought this book, I was living at home, which indicates how long I've had it. But I was living with my parents, and my parents own 2 dogs. So currently I own 2 cats, and I feel much more connected to that. So that could have maybe impacted my experience too. But what am I gonna read now or listen to now? I'm gonna listen to Misery by Stephen King, kind of random, but also on my TBR, and it's one I've owned for a long time, and Libby has it, so that was the main reason. But for the rest of the evening, I'm going out with my coworkers for a drink, and then, I don't know, chilling in the hotel room, probably going to bed. That's pretty much it. I don't know if I'll vlog at all until tomorrow evening. I'll try to remember to give an update tomorrow morning before the conference, but let me tell you, I have to be there at 7 a.m. So, who knows if we're gonna get an update or not. Anyway, bye. Good morning from the work fit. It is 6 in the morning, and I am so sorry that I just kind of abandoned the vlog last night. I was so tired after the dinner and drinks with my coworkers that I just came back to the hotel room and fell asleep. And I am still very tired, but I'm gonna go get coffee here in a few minutes. There's a Dunkin' like across from the hotel, so I'm gonna go there, and hopefully that should be enough to get me through this big day. I'm actually really excited. It's just also, of course, a lot and will be a little overwhelming, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I think that this is a really exciting event for my work, so I'm looking forward to today. As for reading updates, I did get about an hour into Misery, and Misery basically centers on this fan who essentially kidnaps an author, and she is like his self-proclaimed #1 fan, and it's just kind of scary. She's like kind of torturing him and forcing him to do whatever she wants. She's kind of manipulating him with drugs, and it's good. I've heard it's like one of his most beloved works, and I've only read one other Stephen King, which was 11/22/63, and 11/22/63 really did not work for me, so I'm kind of hopeful that this one will be good. I don't think I'm gonna read today. I really don't. I think I'll read probably Bands of Mourning as I'm going to bed this evening, but I really don't anticipate being able to read much today, unfortunately. I wish I could, but it's just gonna be a jam-packed day. So that's probably it for now. Sorry for a short and sweet update, but I think tomorrow I'm actually gonna be able to read a lot, so I'm looking forward to that. See you guys later. Good morning. It is Friday. I was looking back at my clips from yesterday, and I think I got about 2 or 3 clips yesterday, and I never filmed an evening update, but not to worry, I had no news to share reading-wise. I did no reading yesterday. I was so exhausted. I got home from the conference, and literally my fiance made dinner. I was falling asleep on the couch, and we're watching The Pit, which is a very intense show. I was so exhausted. After we were done watching it, I literally got into bed and went to sleep, and it was 9 p.m. Yeah. So we were tired. We were very tired. I did not read. But big news. I decided to take a mental health day from work. No worries. Work was totally cool with it and understanding after the conference. So I have the day off today, and my fiance and I, we were like, it would be really nice if we go sit at a cafe and read a bit this morning, and then I think we're going to do some shopping. And just since I have the day off, I should be able to get a lot of reading done. I don't think I'll have too much audiobook time today, but I should be able to read a good amount of the Bands of Mourning. So I'm really looking forward to a nice day and to just really enjoy this newly long weekend. So I'm looking forward to a big day of reading, a big day of fun, a big day of relaxation. So hopefully should have more updates later today with how much I've read and how reading is going. Hello, it is the evening. Today has been a wonderful day full of reading and shopping and just wandering around Chicago. I've had such a good time. This was so needed. My fiance and I went to Uniqlo, Urban Outfitters, some thrift stores. I actually only ended up getting anything at Uniqlo. We also stopped by a bookstore. I promise I did not buy anything because, I'm trying to finish the physical TBR. I did buy myself a little Bloom soda that I'm going to try. Come here. My cat is looking at me, but she doesn't want to come say hello. But we also did a ton of reading because we went to a little cafe, read some in the morning, and then we went and sat outside for a while and also did some reading. And I have about 100 pages left in the book I'm reading. What is this book called? In The Bands of Mourning. And I'm really enjoying it. There have been so many twists and turns in this one, and I feel like we've really developed such a lovable ensemble and cast, and I'm just having such a good time. I feel like it is really doing a great job with balancing the lightheartedness of many of our characters who are very much jokesters and kind of the seriousness of the situation they're going through. And I kind of maybe have hopeful ambitions of maybe I could finish it tonight. I don't really have a ton of plans for this evening, and it's only 5 o'clock. So with 100 pages left, if I dedicate a few hours, I can definitely finish it. And then I would be going all the way to Mistborn 4 in this, which would be so, so exciting. So just looking forward to this evening and seeing how much more reading I can get done. But I'm really enjoying it and really having a fun time. And this day of mental health and healing was so good. Let's try this flavor because I haven't ever had the raspberry lemonade before. Ooh, that's good. I still think the strawberry and cream is my favorite, but this is so light and summery feeling, so I'm gonna enjoy this evening. Okay, hello. I wanted to come in here and provide a little outro for this video because it is now Saturday, and I mainly wanted this video to focus on how I'm balancing reading while the work week was going on. I think I'm gonna just enjoy this weekend and allow myself some time to rest and relax because I had such a busy week. But this was ultimately a really phenomenal week of reading. I did not yet tell you, but I did finish The Bands of Mourning last night. Really great book, really felt like the stakes got so much higher for our main characters, and it feels like we're kind of uncovering the major plot of this era of Mistborn. So really enjoyed that one. But I'm just so surprised at the amount of books I was actually able to get through this week. I started the week reading Shadows of Self, which is the Mistborn Era 2 Book 2 book, and then I moved on, was able to listen to Dust, which is the end of the trilogy of the Silo series. I also was able to listen to the audiobook The Friend, and I was able to finally, of course, read Bands of Mourning and finish Bands of Mourning. So really, 4 books is much more than normal, honestly, for me. I think those 2 audiobooks being quite short and me having a longer commute and a lot of administrative work going on really allowed me to get through those books. I also made it a huge priority to read the Mistborn books because I was really enjoying them. So I think that also helped increase my amount of books. I also think this era of Mistborn, the books are kind of less dense than era 1, so it allowed me to read them quicker, allowed me to more binge read them, and really just have fun with it. I think that on an average week, I typically get through like 1 or 2 books, but audiobooks are always hit or miss. Lately, I've been listening to Game of Thrones on audio, which takes me months to get through. If I'm listening to like a nice and short book, it's like 10 hours or around 10 hours, I can typically get through those much quicker. So it was a really fun week. I hope you all enjoyed hearing how I balance a 9 to 5 and a week of reading, and I hope to be back soon with another video. But for now, see you later. Bye!